From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Fireflies lighting up the sky on a summer night can feel magical, especially if you happen to catch them as they light up at the same time. Which brings up one of the mysteries of the insect world. How do fireflies shine their lights in sync with one another? Recently, a pair of computer science researchers with the University of Colorado set out to better understand how fireflies do this and why. Orit Peleg is an associate professor in the Department of Computer Science at CU Boulder. She, along with CU research scientist Owen Martin, spent time in a South Carolina swamp to study what causes the phenomenon known as firefly synchrony. They joined me to share what they learned about how fireflies communicate and how it might help develop new technologies. Before we talk about your research, help us understand why fireflies light up in the first place. Or what is the purpose of the flashing?
Yeah, the flashing, to the most part, if you see a flash outside in the wild, it's most likely coming from mating ritual or courtship behavior. There are many species of fireflies, and each one has a unique mating flash pattern. So when the males advertise themselves and the female respond, that's how they decide whether to mate or not.
So you went to a national park in South Carolina to study a specific species of firefly. Help us picture, what is this area like and why did you go there for this research?
Yeah, so the park is Congaree National Park. It has a very nice scenery of old growth, and it's a little bit like a swamp. So it's very quiet. There's lots of wildlife, birds, frogs, and crickets. And when you go there out at night, it's very peaceful. And then at some point, the fireflies start to flash their beautiful flashes. And it's also a very convenient place for us to work because there's a large group of synchronous fireflies there.
So to do your research, you set up a portable lab that was basically a very dark tent, and you pretended to be a firefly. I realize I am grossly oversimplifying this here, but Owen, what were you trying to measure?
Yeah, so inside the dark tents that we set up, we would capture individual fireflies from the natural landscape and place them inside these enclosures so we knew exactly where they were. And so for each individual, we would present them with an LED signal at the same kind of color frequency and also at the same temporal frequency as the fireflies in the surrounding landscape. We were basically trying to pretend to be a firefly and have a communication dialogue with the captured firefly that we were studying. The intention here was to see if we could get the wild firefly to synchronize with the signal from the sort of fake firefly that we were presenting to it.
And did that happen? I mean, how would this single firefly respond to you flashing the light?
Yeah, depending on the speed of the light signal we were showing to the firefly, it would either slow down its own frequency or speed up to match that of the LED. And so this behavior was something that we didn't quite expect to see, but we're quite thrilled to witness because it's some kind of hallmark of the synchronous process.
All right, what did you discover about why fireflies flash in these patterns?
Yeah, so we discovered that fireflies can adjust their flashing timing in several different ways to be able to synchronize with other fireflies. So one thing that they can do is speed up their next flash, so basically flash sooner. But they can also do the opposite. They can flash later. And then adjusting these two things together helps them synchronize with other fireflies. In other words, their synchronization is not accidental. It's not just that two fireflies happen to flash at the same time. There's a decision that they make that helps them synchronize with other fireflies.
Owen, what was the moment like for you when you realized the fireflies weren't just randomly flashing at you, that they were actually responding to your LED light?
It was really special, actually. Like, we spent a lot of time trying to get the light just correct. You know, for the first season, like the first half of the year, we had the light was way too bright and the fireflies would never respond. And then we over-dimmed it and we couldn't even see it in the cameras. And so there's all this whole process of trial and error trying to match the light. And so when we kind of got that correct, and the first time I saw a firefly sort of quiet, not responding, and then immediately just like lockstep with the LED for like a period of time where it felt like several minutes, I was just like, this is crazy. I feel like I'm speaking a language that I don't understand properly, but that the firefly somehow does.
Uri, this firefly phenomenon could shape future technology. What sort of tech might make use of these fireflies' unusual ability?
Yeah, so any sort of system that has many individual computers or agents trying to communicate together in large groups. I think one good example is our telecommunication networks when we're using our cell phones, etc. Another good example would be in swarm robotics. If programmed correctly through the rules of interactions between the robots, they can achieve global behavior just like the fireflies do.
What kinds of work might swarm robotics be useful for one day?
Yeah, one application that roboticists are thinking about is collective transport and collective construction, which really, in maybe simple words, means that a few robots can move a large object together. So each robot cannot really move this large object by itself, just like a single ant cannot move a large, piece of pretzel back to the nest. But together, when many ants do it or when many robots do it at the same time, they can do things that individuals cannot.
I love it. Like a bunch of ants.
Yes, basically.
How far off in the future do you think that technology might be?
I would say it's pretty far off, but hopefully within our lifetime.
You know, firefly populations are in trouble in many places, including here in northern Colorado. Uri, I'm curious, how did you set out to study them without endangering them or disrupting their natural behavior too much?
Yeah, so a lot of the recordings we're doing, we're not disturbing them at all with our cameras, but for the specific experiment with the LED, we would collect a small amount of fireflies, keep each one of them for roughly an hour in our experiments, and then release them back to the wild. We also, of course, try to be very careful with light pollution, not to introduce any from our experiments, and not to introduce any pesticides or bug spray to that sense. Yeah.
Did you just come home with hundreds of mosquito bites then? Because you didn't use bug spray?
Yes. Yes.
Owen's nodding very hard, I just want to say.
Yeah, we started wearing rain gear even when it wasn't raining, just to be fully clothed and not need to use bug spray so we could protect ourselves from mosquitoes.
That's Uri Peleg and Owen Martin, two researchers with the BioFrontiers Institute at the University of Colorado Boulder, studying why and how fireflies synchronize their blinking lights, a phenomenon that may one day help build better robots. You can learn more about their study and see some beautiful firefly photos in our show notes and at KUNC.org. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.